Anxiety can present itself anytime, anywhere. It's rude like that. That's why you want to make sure that you have a strategy in place. You've got a game plan in place so that you don't get caught off guard. In this video, I'm breaking down an acronym that I created to help you manage anxiety on the spot. Not only help you manage it, but help you get down to the root of the trigger. And believe me, it's definitely cheaper than hopping on the line with your therapist. What's going on? My name is Vanessa Cruz. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor, and I'm the owner and founder of the Remedy Counseling Practice in Chicago. When anxiety starts to surface, most of us have learned to distract ourselves. And you know what? That might work, but it works only temporarily. I want you to think of anxiety as a home security alarm going off, right? As loud as a school, like one of those school bells or those school alarms going off, right? And let's just say that that alarm is going off in your home. And instead of acknowledging the alarm, instead of finding out what is triggering the alarm, we're just distracting ourselves and we're just going about our daily lives while this annoying loud alarm is going off. And we're just hoping that at some point the alarm will just subside and then we can move on. But that's not the case. Anxiety is a warning system, and it's trying to tell you that it perceives danger or that you perceive danger, whether real, perceived, or imagined. I talk more about that in my previous video, How to Identify Anxiety, and I'll link that above. So what we want to do is we want to learn to acknowledge anxiety instead of distract ourselves or instead of, hoping and praying that it's just going to go away on its own. Let's find out what it's trying to communicate to you. And an easy way to do that is through an acronym I created called PRR. And PRR came about in a really funny way. And it was all the Lord. So one day I'm just, reading, or I was doing something at the kitchen table, and I turn around and our cat Prince, who we've had for like 13 years now, was so relaxed. I'm talking about belly up relaxed. Like, okay, Prince, you're giving us a free show. And he's only like that when he's around me. And I realize that I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, I wish that I can be as chillax as you are, Prince. And right at that moment, the Lord hit me with a download. And I sensed the Lord showing me, well, it's because he's in his master's presence. That's why he can be so relaxed. And in that moment, there was so much it was a loaded sense that I got from the Lord in that moment. And that's when PRR was born. Purr. We want to be able to purr. We want to PRR. We want to be so relaxed, knowing that God is in charge, that God is sovereign, that he is in control, and that our lives, we trust him with our lives. And my Prince belongs to me, and that's why he is most relaxed and he is most comforted when he's in my presence. And oftentimes when I'm in therapy sessions, he'll be hanging out here with me in my office. And he'll be in that same laid out position. And so we want to be like that. In fact, Acts 17:27 says, God is not far from any of us. And one of my favorites, Jesus says, my peace I leave you. My peace I give you, and it's not as the world gives. And in that statement, Jesus is saying, listen, you have an inheritance from me when you pass and you transition into the kingdom of God. There's an inheritance awaiting for you, but you have a piece of that inheritance now. Jesus is saying, as he's ascending, he's saying, I leave this with you now. You have access to it. I'm giving this to you. And it's not as the world gives. It's not the peace that you experience when you pay off a credit card. This is a supernatural peace that surpasses understanding. And you have access to that peace because it is Jesus's inheritance left to you as a child of God. And you can experience that here on earth. And so PRR will help you work through the obstacles that present itself in your mind and whatever it is that's triggering your anxiety. So let's break it down. So our first letter is P. And it stands for pause. What are we pausing from? Or why are we pausing? We're pausing because we've identified and we can sense symptoms of anxiety coming up for us. And those symptoms look different for everybody. So for myself, I actually get a hive that comes up on my face. And that means, oh man, what was I thinking? What was just said to me, right? At this point, this means whatever went through my mind, right? I wasn't taking every thought captive. I wasn't really thinking about what I was thinking, and I already believed it, or I already gave into whatever that fear was. And now my body is manifesting, like my body is reacting to whatever it is, this thing that I believe. And so it's kind of handy in a way of, okay, now I have to pause because I have a hive on my face and I don't want any more hives on my face. So for you, it might be different. It might be clammy hands. It might be a racing, a heartbeat that's racing, or a racing thoughts. Some people get hot ears or feel feverish. So the symptoms, they can vary. And so you're pausing because whatever your experience of anxiety is happening. And it gives you, pausing means that you're giving yourself the opportunity to acknowledge anxiety is happening right now in my body instead of distracting. So you're pausing, and this takes practice. Every time you experience anxiety, right, especially if you're a person who's continually gave into hopping on Facebook really quick, or, just throwing on a Netflix episode, or whatever the case is, this is going to take some practice for you to pause, acknowledge, okay, I'm anxious right now. And then we move on. Once you've acknowledged, not distract, now you can move on to the first R, which is reflect. Now we have the opportunity to reflect. And reflection is a spiritual discipline. It's a way of being aware of what you're thinking, of what you're experiencing. And we see this often. We see David, the psalmist, who oftentimes through his psalms, we'll hear him saying, oh my, why are you downcast, oh my soul, right? He is having a moment of reflection. And he is aware of his experience, of his mood, whether he's sad, whether he's happy, And so he's having this reflective moment. And so this is our moment to just reflect. Okay, what did I just think about? What is it that I just heard? What did somebody just say to me that might have triggered the anxiety? And it's quick, and you'll most likely find the answer pretty quickly. This is not something that you'll probably have to sit down and search for. Once you acknowledge and you actually reflect, as soon as you actually acknowledge the anxiety, the alarm will actually start. The volume will lower. You'll notice as soon as you acknowledge it, the volume will lower. And as soon as you begin to reflect, you'll hear, it'll come up for you. Be like, oh, yeah. It could be something as simple as, I didn't get everything done on my things to do list, and now I'm going to be a failure, And you don't know that is the subconscious belief that you're having in the moment. And it also could be, this could be a self-induced anxiety, and it also could be spiritual warfare. This could be a fiery dart that headed your way, and a lie that was spoken your way, and you weren't, very present and listening, and you heard it and you believed it. Sometimes a fiery dart might be like, you're going about your business. Do you remember what that one person said to you that one time? And again, you're just on autopilot. You're doing your thing, and you're not really aware of what you're thinking. This happens to us all the time. And bam, the anxiety starts to surface. And so when you pause and you reflect, you have you're giving yourself the opportunity to reflect and think about what it is that you were thinking. And so you're reflecting. And then our last R, reframe. And this is where the good stuff happens. And I just want to pause and tell you this works. Just this last week, today is we're in the mid-January, and I have so much going on and so many different goals that I have going on for myself, and I have little margin in life. I've got a toddler. At the date of this video, he is about to turn 3 years old soon in 2 months. And so I have little margin, and I was thinking, man, I didn't get everything that I wanted done. And I just had this low grade anxiety the entire day. And it wasn't until I was returning back home, I was driving, and I'm like, I didn't even do PRR. I'm telling you, as soon as I did PRR, anxiety gone, done. PRR works. it works. Okay. So R is the gold. Okay. Because what you're doing is you've already in your time of reflection, you identified, all right, well, this is what this is it. This is what I've been thinking. This is what was said to me. And you now have the opportunity to put a different set of glasses on. Let's see, do I have any glasses? Okay, let's just pretend, boom, I put on some new glasses, okay? You have now the opportunity to see this situation through another frame of glasses. And that R is reframe. So you're putting some new frames on and you're looking at the situation differently. You have the opportunity to choose to see this differently. And so let's say, going back to the scenario of, man, I didn't get to finish everything to do on my to-do list. Okay, well, God is still in control, right? So you're reframing with truth. God is still in control. Lord, I submit my things to-do list to you. Tomorrow, would you help me knock out all of the things that are a priority? And Lord, help me in doing that. So that's it. And the best way to reframe is by introducing a scripture. That's the best way. But you always just want to take that situation and spin it or reframe it, right? Put some new frames on and see it through the lens of grace. Because a lot of times we're hard on ourselves. Some of us are perfectionists. PRR, pause, reflect, reframe. This does take practice, but practice makes it possible. If you want to know what kinds of thoughts trigger anxiety, I break it down in this video. See you in the next one. Peace.